Hey, this is Nicky G and welcome to Better Commander. Yeah, guess what? Double Masters 2022 is coming up. Yeah. Let's take a walk down memory lane with Sedris the Traitor King. Oh yeah. The halcyon days of 2013, yeah. My friends and I would build commander decks and hit each other with huge creatures and argue about the rules of the game, yeah. Grixis was Grixis back then, grim, dark, and full of terror. Oh yeah. Sedris the Traitor King was once the good and righteous king of Vithia, yeah, but just like modern politicians and billionaires, he was tempted by demons and sold his soul to become a powerful, jacked zombie warrior, yeah. Picture the fields of battle, angels and paladins fighting a horde of shambling zombies. When the dust settles, yeah, the forces of good realize they're still alive. The laughter of Sedris echoes in the silence as the dead, both friend and foe, yeah, rise and join the army of the undead of this jacked, super zombie warrior. Oh yeah! Alright, I can't keep talking like that. Sedris the Traitor King is 3, a blue, red, and a black for a legendary creature, zombie warrior, 5/5, yeah. Each creature card in your graveyard has Unearth for 2 and a black. So, Unearth is return the card to the battlefield, the creature gains haste, exile it at the beginning of the next end step, or if it would leave the battlefield, Unearth only as a sorcery. So there's a couple ways you can go with Sedris. You can go zombie tribal, you can go self-mill, plant some zombies in the yard, then get them all back out with cards like Patriarch's Bidding, Zombie Apocalypse, or Twilight's Call. You could also lean into self-mill or sacrifice, or you could do a straight Reanimator deck. A Reanimator deck wants big, beefy creatures, ridiculous creatures, to get them onto the battlefield a couple turns early with Reanimator spells like the Holy Trinity, baby. Reanimate, Animate Dead, and Necromancy, yeah. But how are we going to get those cards in the yard? Well, there are several cards that can wheel us, like Windfall. Just 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Each player discards their hand, then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded this way. We also have Magus of the Wheel, 2 and a red for a creature. Human Wizard, it's a 3/3. 1 and a red, tap, sacrifice Magus of the Wheel. Each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. Keep in mind, if you unearth this guy, he can be activated with haste. You also might want to think of some discard outlets to get stuff from our hand into the yard. Dreamscape Artist is 1 and a blue for a creature. Human Spell Shaper, it's a 1/1. It has 2 and a blue, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This guy gets fatties into our yard by turning that card into a Harrow type effect. Also, those come in untapped, those 2 lands, so we can cast something for 2 mana, say like Reanimate. You can do some really crazy things with Chainer Nightmare Adept. He's got 2, a black and a red for a legendary creature, Human Minion. It's a 3/2. It has discard a card. You may cast a creature spell from your graveyard this turn, activate only once each turn. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if you didn't cast it from your hand, it gains haste until your next turn. This guy is like Sedris' best friend. Plus, he can act as a second different replacement commander if Sedris suddenly costs 10 mana from the command zone. We can also surgically select cards to put in our graveyard, lending a toolbox aspect to a Reanimator deck. Cards like Entomb, for 1 black, it's an instant. Search your library for a card, put that card in your graveyard, and then shuffle. This thing really needs a reprint. It's way too expensive. It's like $30 right now. Violent Tumor, one of my favorite cards out of Modern Horizons 2. It's 2 black for a creature, Zombie Warlock. It's a 2/2 with Death Touch. When Violent Tumor enters the battlefield, search your library for a card. Put that card in your graveyard, then shuffle. This can get big value creatures into the yard for later unearthing. Gravebreaker Lamia, yeah, and Corpse Connoisseur are essentially the same card, but these can get the best creature in our deck into the yard. Definitely have to mention Buried Alive. Buried Alive is 2 and a black for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, then shuffle. So this card can get Necrotic Ooze, Palladium Myrrh, and Pilipala into the graveyard for an infinite mana combo if you unearth Necrotic Ooze with Sedris ability. So how do we get this stuff out of the yard? Well, there are several creatures that do this on ETB. You have Young Necromancer and Phyrexian Delver. Phyrexian Delver, of course, one of my all-time favorite cards. Apprentice Necromancer, Doom Necromancer can be cast earlier, or they can be unearthed with haste once Sedris is out, or if they're cast with Chainer. So these things hit the battlefield, you activate them, get your other big fatty back to the battlefield, and you don't have to exile at the end of turn. We have some sorceries like Victimize and Persist. Victimize is great in this deck because you can get a combo piece like Deadeye Navigator or Palinchron or Great Whale into the graveyard.
sacrifice a non-consequential creature, and get those two back onto the battlefield for an infinite mana combo. So what are we bringing back from the graveyard? Just the best creatures in Magic, you fool. We have Jin-Gitaxias. We have Jin-Gitaxias. These are super-powered, beefy creatures that our opponents will hate. Just these kind of crazy pieces that hit the battlefield and screw things up for everybody. We got Sheoldred, Whispering One, 5 black for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor, 6/6 with Swamp Walk. Swamp Walk, not inconsequential in a deck like this. At the beginning of your upkeep, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature. Burning Rune Demon and Runescarred Demon are important in this deck. You can get cards like Gravebreaker Lamia, Corpse Connoisseur to get things into your graveyard. You can get some of the Reanimator Creatures like Phyrexian Delver to get things out of the graveyard and just cause a big headache for your opponents. Itali, Primal Storm is 4 red for a legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur, 6/6. Whenever Itali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. Really, in a deck like this, the sky's the limit. If you want to get nuts, you can feel free to add Great Whale, Deadeye Navigator for infinite mana as well. What about Necrotic Ooze and Palladium Myrrh and Pilipala? You get all 3 in the graveyard, then you unearth Necrotic Ooze and you can tip-tap for infinite mana, baby.
And then you can add Mind Shrieker for 1 and a blue. It's a creature. Spirit Bird, it's a 1/1, with flying.
2, target player mills a card. Mind Shrieker gets +X until end of turn, where X is the mills card mana value. So this card can basically mill out all your opponents, or you can fill up your graveyard or do whatever the heck you want to do. But if you have infinite mana, you might as well mill everybody out. Necrotic Ooze and Mind Shrieker have decent utility even if you can't get the combo online. Now listen, I mocked up a really quick deck list, but be warned, this one has no kind of budget, and while I own all the cards necessary to make this deck, you may not. Don't feel bad if you don't. A cheap Reanimator can be made without expensive lands and cards like Entomb. So let me know what you guys think of this monster. There are so many cards I missed, and I want to know all about it. So this is going to be Nicky G from Better Commander.
Signing off, yeah.